Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Menopause Made Easy with Tanya. If you're watching this on video, I am outside enjoying some sunshine. And we like to keep things casual here and have, laid back conversations. And I'm so excited to have Amy Benjamin back on. She was here, oh my goodness, probably a year and a half ago. And we were talking about UTIs and all sorts of things. And she's been busy and she just released a book and we're going to
So,
talk about it and dive in. So, hello, Amy. Welcome back. Thank you for coming here today and sharing what you've been up to and your book. Excited to
yeah,
chat.
thank you. I think this is my third time to be on your podcast. So, hopefully there'll be a few people that remember a little bit of what we had talked about before.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm so excited to be back. And
Yay.
yeah, so yeah, wrote a book.
Yes.
At the end, I had been teaching. I'm a teacher, retired in May. So I kind of started this book during my last year of teaching. Um, and I basically was thinking, my thought process for this book was there's not anything for us out there like a manual. Like if you think about puberty,
Mm-hmm.
there's books available.
Mm-hmm.
So even if your mom or dad didn't have that conversation with you, you were going to be able to figure out by grabbing a book and reading it. And it wasn't a novel. It just, broke it down, right? And for some of us, it might have been even thank God, thank you God, it's me, Margaret, like the book.
Mm-hmm.
The I don't know if you remember that one, but that was a big one that it was like coming of age type book. But I'm like, you know what? There's nothing necessarily like that for menopause that I've seen. And I have had, I've read wonderful books from tremendous doctors, the new menopause, the menopause brain, like all these wonderful books.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, the average person is maybe not going to want a big, thick book to delve through, especially when our bandwidth for our brains are maybe not at capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to go thin.
Nice. Yes.
So
Hot
there's
flashes
the
and cold
book.
truths. I love it.
Yes, yes, yes. A no nonsense guide to menopause, because if we don't laugh, we'll cry and then we'll forget why we're crying.
Lovely. Well, I can
So,
tell you that going through menopause, like, I'm post-menopause now. I'm not sure where you are on your
same,
journey. Okay.
same.
But I look back, and to your point, there was nothing. When I was going through perimenopause, I had no idea um what was going on. And it wasn't until after like going through it for years that I finally was like, okay, and things just started. Like I remember tracking my period starting at the age of 47 or 48. That's the first,
Hmm.
yeah. And then just being like, oh, skipping a period or but just so oblivious to this
Yeah.
whole thing. And there was nothing really about it. And there was maybe a few books on the market back then. So it has exploded and yours is here and we're going to talk about it. So I mean, I've anyway, just you tell us
You're
that are
okay.
coming from the
That's one of those
source.
moments. I've had several of those. I think we can all relate.
Hmm.
Yes. So, yeah. So, basically, it just takes you on the ride of like, what is it? Because I have to be thinking of like all the people that could be picking this up. So, yes, I talk about the hormones, I talk about the stages, all of those things toward the beginning, and then there's just bite size. There's short chapters. So I can give you a couple examples.
Hmm.
Um so the beginning, sorry.
I bet you this is
Welcome to
the
the Wild Ride is the first chapter.
okay. Hmm.
So I want to say like yes, it is science based, but there's humor and it's
Hmm.
easy to read. So I'm trying to break it down. I think that's the upside of me being a teacher is being able to break things down into a simpler way for people to understand.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of my approach. And I'm like, we need some spiciness to this. Like, I don't want it to be doom, gloom, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because not all of it is. Now, there are parts that suck. I'm just kidding. But there are parts of it that are like, so we, as coming into postmenopause, doesn't mean that we're like done with our symptoms, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have a confidence about us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking at how you're sitting, and your manner of confidence right now is
Mm.
amazing.
Mm.
And that is something, that needs to be recognized, that
Mm-hmm.
that we kind of move into a new period of time in postmenopause where it's like, you know what? We're not caring for everybody else anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
we start caring about ourselves, and it just brings light. And yeah.
Yeah. I
So
would definitely say, like, looking back, I would just use one, if I could use probably one word for my 40s would be chaos.
yeah. Yeah.
Because I was raising kids. I was completely oblivious to what was going on, my emotions, my anxiety. Um, I didn't have like the hot flashes unless I drank. Like there were certain things, but it wasn't, or paying a bill at Costco, like in in the checkout line, I'd always be like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
But I didn't have, but this is the thing, it's different for everybody. It's
It
different for
is.
everybody. So the idea is to recognize what's happening to you. And I think had I had a better understanding of hormones, and to your point, Amy, I found hormones so confusing that I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't, and I'm in this profession. And I was like,
Right.
I can't deal with it. She says this, she says that. And I was just like, I just shut
Right.
down. I became overwhelmed and I shut down. And then time and chaos. And yes, being postmenopausal now and having gone through it, oh my gosh, I feel more grounded, more confident, more stable. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, since we've talked last, that the FDA has removed the black box labeling. Huge, huge. In my opinion, the gold standard of care is hormone replacement therapy. But I understand as well that there are women that are scared. There are women who just don't want to, and I honor them as well.
Mm-hmm.
I will mention this, but it's like this is something that you're replacing. It's not so it's I don't even think of it as a medication, to be honest. I don't
Yeah.
think it is. It's a hormone that it has left the chat, and you're needing it back because it's affecting your day to day. Um as far as Yeah. And so as far as having the other conversations for people that are not able to, I also am trying to break through some of that apprehension for hormone replacement therapy as well. And I have contact with a great doc on Instagram that is a breast cancer survivor herself. And so when that topic comes up, I'm like, here's your person, go, because it doesn't mean you can't have anything.
Yeah.
So
Well, it just shows you how, it's truly fascinating. So for anybody who may not know what we're talking about, in 2002, the Women's Health Initiative came out and basically said that estrogen will give you cancer. That's like the very,
horrible.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
And
very,
took it away from women,
yeah.
took it away.
Yeah, and put the fear of God in doctors, in women. And so now we've just basically gone through 20 years of suffering and consequences. So if you start to look at women in their 70s and 80s, so my stepmother actually just passed away at the age of 73 from mental decline. So this is something we were talking about a couple of years ago. And
Yep.
could hormones have helped her? I don't know, right?
I
But
wonder the same thing because the anxiety my mom had and the medication she had to be on, maybe she had that already. It's possible, but could some of the replacement therapy have helped her? And she ended up with Alzheimer's, which isn't in our family at all.
Mm,
And so I feel that that's, yeah, I wonder the same things because it's not proven that HRT will, prevent Alzheimer's, but it's not hurting
yeah.
to
And
have it.
And the reason we're again mentioning this for anybody who may not know is estrogen is bone protective, brain protective, heart protective, right? And so it
It's
is,
an
and
anti-inflammatory. It's an
anti-inflammatory.
anti-inflammatory.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
anti-inflammatory. And we're not talking about HRT going back to the levels you had when you were a teenager in your 20s.
right.
We're talking about putting some in your body that provides protection. And again, whether you want to do it or not, what Amy and a lot of us are trying to do is just open your eyes to have a
Mhm.
conversation so that you can move through fear and not like because even the Women's Health Initiative study has backpedaled and said they did not correctly state the facts.
Well, there was one particular physician in that group that kind of busted open a conversation that wasn't ready. Like the study wasn't even finished yet.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like a tenth of 1% of the people. And that study, just for background too, that study, when you're studying hormone replacement therapy, you would tend to think that the people in the study would be women in perimenopause. You would think, but they weren't. The majority were over 60 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an older population, naturally you're going to have women that have an increased risk for any cancer,
Mm-hmm.
anything that way. We all start as we age, we're going to have more risk than when we were in our 30s. So it was just a flawed study all over.
Yeah.
And as soon as that one piece of information got out, I like to say it went viral.
Yeah.
Like we talk about viral videos and things now, but that was the moment that went viral, and it was on every news broadcast that next day, on the Today Show, all the platforms, and it just shut everything down. And the poor women, and I'm going to say the medical community as well. There's been a lack of training about it for the past over 20 years.
Yeah.
So we have to have doctors be re-educated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think part of that re-education comes from people listening to this podcast and just getting more
Mhm.
self-aware and learning so that they can walk into their doctors. Because I still have people contacting me saying, my doctor will not listen to me. They will not listen
Yes.
to me. They're adamant, no, it's not going to help you. You don't need it. Here's some anti-anxiety medication. Go on some
Yep.
depressants. You need, this medication. They are just against it. And I just tell them, like, listen, it's your body. If you want to go and get another doctor or another opinion, like
Absolutely.
you have to figure out what feels good to you. So,
I
um,
I mean, I've gone through 8 myself. I went
mm,
through 3 this year. I had someone I trusted and was able to, I mean, was doing a great job. Retired. And I'm like,
mm,
no, you can't retire. So so then I go to try to find another one. And I know what I'm looking for. And I will say the things like on the phone. I'm like, here's what I'm looking for. Are you able to help me? I'm not going to waste time in a
right.
doctor's office having somebody who's not on the same page with me to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So I mentioned that. And so yeah, the second one was all about making money from me
Mm,
with my hormones. And I'm like, I want this covered by insurance. I'm sorry. This
mm,
is I pay insurance. I should be able to have that. So number 3 ended up being, but I like there's the NAMS, the Menopause Society. I think they've kind of changed their name. The North American Menopause Society has a physician finder, and I highly recommend people to check that out. At least they've gone through any doctors that are listed in your area in that directory, at least have had menopause certification through the Menopause Society. So it's not a guarantee that it's perfect, but it's a place to start rather than just like, I don't know where to go. And
Yeah.
I'm happy to help if there's people that need help with that.
Yeah, and I think in your book, at least in the freebie that you hand out with the email that you got, you really go through a very thorough, like a pretty good checklist of what questions to ask.
Mhm.
And so in your book, just name one of your chapters, like where somebody could find, I'm sure you have like questions you can ask your doctor
Yeah. Well,
or I know you have a
I
checklist on what are like keeping track of signs and symptoms so that you know
yeah, the
yourself.
doctor will see you now would be the chapter that talks about that. And I do say you can fire your doctor. It's okay. Like I still have my family doctor, but my family doctor was not the person that was going to be able to help me with my menopause.
Mm-hmm.
She just didn't know. And it was a woman, but she
Mm,
just didn't know.
mm,
And I still go to her, but it's just not for that,
yeah,
you know? So you can still like your doctor that you have, but if you need help with this, it's okay to go somewhere else. And we've always had this kind of a, oh, they're above everybody else kind of mentality, and you just trust them. But we really, society has changed, people have changed, and we really need to look at what is best for us. And you know your body.
yeah.
And so, you know, women being dismissed anyway, we
Mm-hmm.
really have to be stronger advocates for ourselves and say, it's okay. You know what? This isn't working out. I'm just going to move on.
Yeah. But
Don't
you
worry.
know what, Amy? You brought up a good point because if, I always say to people, like, we know ourselves, but I have to tell you that I think some people are really disconnected from themselves,
That could be.
right? Like
Yeah.
they get a headache, but they don't see what caused the headache. Or
Right.
they have pain and they don't understand where their pain is coming from. They just think because they're getting older, this is supposed to happen. Or like all these things I can think of where you either chalk it up to age or you're overwhelmed because you're work like raising your kids and you're looking after your parents and you're in this that you have
Yes.
no time to really just sit with yourself. So instead of listening, you just kind of be like, oh, I'll take care of it later. I'll take care of it later. So I think it's really important. I did see the checklist that you gave to ask yourself questions. Like ask
Hmm.
yourself, um, I don't know if these are your specific questions, but as simple as like, how am I feeling? What's
Yeah.
my
Right.
energy? What
Yeah.
what's my energy like? Why do I
Yeah.
keep getting these headaches? Why is my
Yeah.
stomach in pain? Why are my joints achy? Why do I walk into a room and forget why I came in here? Like all of
Yes.
these things, like really coming back to discovering who you are. I think that's one of the first steps, right? Is discovering what's going on with you right now and
And I
and
think it's like
allowing
pulling,
yourself.
especially with menopause, is pulling, like I always talk about, like, I had a frozen shoulder, so I went to an orthopedic doctor. And then, I know somebody who's, had heart palpitations and went to a cardiologist, but these people don't necessarily know that the other things are happening.
Yeah,
So my orthopedic had no idea that my periods were crazy. Like they had no idea that maybe I was having painful sex. Like they didn't know that because you go to somebody for each thing. And I think that's where that education ahead of time that I'm
yeah,
trying to help women with. Even if you're past it, like there's still things that are going on. But we need to prep this next generation of saying you need to start looking. So if your periods are like the first thing,
yeah,
periods going whack is like honestly a hallmark symptom of, hey, it's kind of starting. And then you start, but knowing ahead of time, like you're not normally somebody who has pain in their joints, and suddenly it's like, oh, and you just think, God, I'm just getting old. Or again, like the heart palpitations, these these symptoms are not all put together soon enough
yeah.
for
And
us.
And you know what? I went through frozen shoulder, could not,
Oh,
for about 18 months, I couldn't put my jacket on with my right arm. I couldn't lift my arm. I had stabbing pain. And then I started to get deep, it was probably the
hip
same time,
pain.
deep hip pain. I thought I had bone
Yep.
cancer. I was like, what is this? Like, what's going on with me? Never would have thought. And then, did the research. But before that, I went and had them x-rayed because I said to my doctor, like, I think I have bone cancer. And why can't I move? But they didn't necessarily say, like, what's going on, right? Where are you in your menstrual cycle? What other symptoms are
No,
you having? And then
because they didn't know.
no, no, and
They didn't know.
that's, you know what? It's not a knock on anybody
No, it
because
isn't. It's just a lot. It's a system.
it's,
It's a
yeah,
system breakdown. Yeah.
exactly. And then I had heart palpitations, um, really badly. At one night, actually thought I was going to die. They were
They're
coming.
scary.
It's so scary, and I don't even know if I really did anything about it. I just because I'm like, what am
So,
I going to do? So I get how people just keep, you know, going. I did give up drinking because I found that they were made worse with drinking. So I have
yeah,
not drank in
alcohol
over a
can,
year now. So,
yeah. My frozen shoulder was I was down to 18% mobility
mm,
in my left. It was my left. It was pretty severe. I had kind of let it go maybe too long because, to be honest, I had painted a ceiling
mm,
and I thought this is like 2 or 3 days after that. Then I thought, oh, I overdid. Like that
hmm
sucks. But then it just continued to get worse. And I'm at the end of a school year. And so this probably happened in like early April. And by the end of, I'm like, I'm just waiting till the last day of school because I can't take time off. Da 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 da. And then
see?
ended up, and I'm like, it just hurts so bad. And so then I went into the orthopedic, and he's like, oh yeah, it just generally happens between the ages of 45 and 55. We don't know why, and it's typically women. I didn't have the education I have now to put the pieces together back then, but it's like, duh. Now it's like, what? Of course, this is it.
Yeah,
And estrogen helps with all the joint lubrication. And yeah, so yeah, yeah, that's basically why, again, I wrote the book. It's basically why I'm doing what I'm doing is to help future generations to not have to do what we went through.
yeah. Well, I think a lot of the stigma has lifted because even I'm finding, again, I live in my own little bubble. I'm in the
Yeah.
post-menopausal bubble now, but I am hearing that, younger women, when they're getting their period, it's not so like secretive. It's not
Yeah.
so shameful. It's not like, at least that's how I grew up. Like you were hiding the
Right.
tampon, right? You wouldn't wear white. Like there was just all this shame almost around having your period. And I think that is lifting,
It
right?
is because even public restrooms in some facilities now are like they have them free. You don't have to pay
Hmm
for them, or it's period friendly.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I agree, and I think this generation, the millennials, are going through peri right now, like starting perimenopause. The older millennials, and that generation, I think is going to like we're hoping to break open that door, but they're going to bust it open,
yeah,
and it's going to be okay. I mean, it's going to move forward.
yeah. No, I absolutely agree. It's definitely talked about way more. Like even the last 5 years have been mind blowing in
Yes.
regards to, but you know what's really interesting is that I will still meet women my age who say, I don't hear anything about menopause. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. And I'm just like, there's a lot of great books that are being written. I have my podcast. Like, you just have to ask questions. But again, I think some of the older generation is just, either I don't know, maybe not on social media or not looking or they're aware. I always say it's where your awareness goes, right? Where your
Mhm.
attention, what is that? Where your awareness goes, your attention flows or vice versa.
Yeah.
Anyway, so as soon as you say like check this out, and then if they choose to read it or whatever, go on from there. But that education and awareness piece is so empowering because you really do, like you said, with the frozen shoulder, go, oh my gosh, well, that's right. Like I have no estrogen anymore. So my joint isn't protective, right? Or whatever. What's another sign or symptom that you can look at and then be like, oh my gosh, if I had known?
Anxiety, probably. Some
Mm-hmm.
of the anxiety and depression symptoms, uh, when you weren't before, like you, that's new. I think that's a hallmark as well,
Mm-hmm.
because your progesterone is your calming hormone, right? And so when it's diving, which happens in peri, the anxiety, the sleep, like those are the first symptoms to really, like, you used to be able to go fall asleep, your head hit the pillow, done, and suddenly you're not able to do that. And then the anxiety. Yeah. And I don't know that I had that as much as some women do. I might have lucked out on that part, but
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, that's very common.
Yeah. And when you don't sleep well, oh my gosh, then it's just harder to get through the day. Your cravings are, I mean, then you're you're just
Exacerbates everything. Yep.
yes,
It makes
right?
everything worse.
Yeah. So just looking at your sleeping and just saying, am I sleeping the way I need to be sleeping? Right? Like, am I getting restorative sleep? So a lot of people have used Aura rings or other devices. I tested it out for about 3 months, about, I don't know, 5 years ago. And I just got a baseline of like, okay, but you know what the biggest thing it did for me, just having I only really needed it for 3 months because I don't like depending on external devices. And if that's you, that's fine. But I just was like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like when I don't get sleep and I see it, I am more likely to eat carbohydrates. I am
Yeah.
more
And your
likely,
body battery, like all the
yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My energy is low. I don't want to work out, not because I'm lazy, but because I didn't get restorative sleep.
Mhm.
So it changes the dialogue in your head by just tracking things. I know a lot of my friends wear Aura rings or track their sleep. So yes, anxiety again is really something that can come up just because of these lowering progesterone, the lowering hormones, especially progesterone. But then you have like, from all the things I've learned, just how it affects the neurochemicals of oxytocin and, um, oh my gosh, it just slipped my brain. Anyway, all of these other things that start to
Dopamine
filter.
and melatonin and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yes. Yes. And then your cortisol goes up and
Mm-hmm. And
yeah.
then you hold on to body fat, and then you're like, I got to go work out harder, which is the wrong thing to do because then your body feels more stress,
Yes.
right? And so you start to put all these pieces together and unwind a lot, a lot of
You were
things.
you were saying about talking about the tracking, and I think this is something that I hit home in I've been doing some speaking, and that's one of the things that I've been really hammering is you have to kind of recognize your own symptoms. You figure out, what is there anything that's exacerbating them, or is there anything is like, oh, if I do this, it get better. But also, as far as data, then to take to your doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So I created an app. I have two apps actually right now, but one simple app, and it's $7. It's super, it stays on your phone. It's 1 month, like one time payment kind of deal, but it's like a 30-second check-in. So how am I feeling? What are my primary symptoms today? Here's some options that maybe I could try, that, maybe it's sugar. Maybe I drank wine today and I noticed that my hot flashes were worse, or there's a lot of those type of things that you can put in it as well. And then what is cool is that like at the end of the month or 90 days, whatever you choose, you can actually print that out and take it to the doctor. So you can
Neat.
say, here are my top symptoms, how it's affecting my daily life over time, which powerful, because then you're
Powerful.
not walking into that doctor's appointment just trying to remember all the things. And some people are good about writing it down, but let's be honest, probably 75% of us go into the appointment not bringing anything with us. And we're just like, we're going to remember all the stuff I want to say. And you walk out and you're like, I didn't tell them that. I forgot to tell them this. But having the printout really helps take that load off of you.
Oh, what's the app called?
So it's menopause tracking app. It
Menopause
was,
tracking app. Very
it's,
nice.
yeah, very clever name.
Very clever name. But you know what? Easy peasy, easy to
I
remember.
know.
And I love
Yeah.
that it gives you a printout. And you are right. You think you're going to remember, you don't.
No.
That's just human nature. That's fine. And
So I have a couple of wellness centers that are actually women's wellness centers that have the QR code for it in their office because they do want their patients to come in with that information. That would be amazing. So they're on board with trying
good for
to
you.
promote that.
And what's the other app?
The other one is your menopause survival, or I'm sorry, your menopause toolkit. And basically, that one will walk you through what stage are you in? Do you know what phase you're in? And then it does give some education. There are options to learn a little bit more about the hormones and the phases and all of that. But the hallmark of this app is that you can say what your top symptoms are, and then it will guide you to the the strategies you can use. And then it will also guide you to what supplements may help in that situation. So a sleep, like let's say sleep. So then it'll give you some supplements that you could use for sleep, and it gives you the pros and cons of each of the supplements. And then that's something you can discuss with your doctor then. But it narrows it down. It's like, so it used to have it as a PDF that was like 88 pages.
Right?
I turned it into an app.
Good
So
for
it is
you.
much more approachable. And yeah, so a lot of women are like, I still take supplements on top of having hormone replacement therapy. I'm still doing magnesium glycinate for sleep and calming my body as I'm getting ready for bed, kinds of things. Like there's benefits throughout our span for certain supplements. So it gives them a little bit of a guide and some options.
Yeah, and I think it's important that, this is something I've learned, is that we are allowed to pulse in and pulse out of different supplements, of different workouts, of different eating strategies, all of these different things.
Mhm.
Just because we start on something doesn't mean it's forever. And again, that
Mhm.
goes back to really listening to your body. And oh my gosh, like the work I've done jumping into circadian rhythm and, just your basic foundations of how we are an evolutionary mismatch for this present world that we live in and getting
Maybe.
yeah. And getting back to spending time in nature, going
Right.
out for
Movement.
sunrise, dimming your
Yes.
lights at night, and getting your circadian rhythm back, and then your cells get happy, and that helps your mood, and that helps with your hormones. And so a lot of times I say to people, like, I know it might be boring, but if you can nail some of these pretty basic fundamental principles, um, whatever you decide to take is going to be better. Like it's going to help you more. So don't forget about the basics. They don't cost anything. Really, just pick something that's easy to work with and then build on it from there. So that's what I work with a lot of
Mhm.
women um, in regards to tapping back into their bodies and and loving on themselves, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. So what are you primarily like for somebody to buy this book, what would you say the best age group is?
Oh, I'm like 35 to 60 plus.
Okay.
It's going to, I had one of my clients has, she messaged me and she's like, I I am amazed with this, and I tell you that I kind of forget what I read, so I have to reread it. And I'm like, yeah, another symptom, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so she's like, but it's so good to go back and reread. And so I think there's going to be
Mm.
something for you. Like, you're going to see something you need, even if you reread.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what they say, and I truly, truly believe this. You know, I teach women stuff on the nervous system. I don't just read the nervous system once. I read it, I read it, I read different people's uh, thoughts about it, different strategies. Like there's one thing to read it, there's another thing to ingrain it, right?
Hmm.
And then be like, oh, I get it. I get
Hmm.
it, right? Like, how can I apply this to myself? And again, I think that's the empowerment piece and why this is really a journey. It's not a one and done. It's a journey of really going through this ride of perimenopause.
Well,
Um,
even my daughter, my oldest daughter's 33. She's gonna be 34 here next month. And so her age group are
mm,
curious, and I'm like, yes, we need to be curious about it because it's being talked about. They're starting to get curious about it. And I ran into it in a marketing event, there, another like 34, 35. And she's like, my whole friend group, like, we're starting to talk about it, but we don't know what to look for. And so she's like, I'm going to get your book and I'm going to start helping my friend group. And I'm like, yes, this is
yeah,
what we want. This is what we want. So,
yeah.
yeah. So even if they're young, it's fine.
Oh,
I don't scare them too
I
badly.
think that's the perfect age, 35, because you
Yeah.
really start to get ahead of the gangs or the ahead of the curve. So you're not you know, like surprised. You have some
Yes.
fundamentals down, you know what to look for. Yeah, no, that's great.
But
Perfect.
yet, even post-menopausal, you're gonna find information in here
Mm-hmm.
that is like, oh, I didn't realize that was this, and still some strategies. Like even, I mean, as simple as like you're traveling, what should you pack with you
Mm-hmm.
for traveling, um, beyond when your period's done. There's a lot of value throughout our journey in that. So.
Absolutely. Oh, very exciting. So how long did it take you to write the book?
About a year,
Mm-hmm.
about a year.
Good.
Very different process. Just, yeah, going through like how to, I had someone help me with the formatting. I'm like, I have the manuscript. What do I do with it now?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So having someone, and you've been through it.
Mm-hmm.
So having someone go ahead and format it for me and get it all uploaded, everything, that was great. I'm like, worth
Yeah.
it.
I know everybody always asks me if I'm going to write another book, and I just am like, no, that's why I have my podcast because
Yeah.
it's a lengthy process, and I don't know what you paid, but mine was very like expensive. And so,
I went the cheap route.
yes,
Yes.
that's okay.
So I'm still, but for me, it's not my main
Hmm.
income either. Like I feel like it's just a tool to help women,
Oh,
along the way as well. It's an
ab-
entry.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I love books. I love hard books. I really do. Because again, you can mark them up and keep going back and really, really ingesting again and learning that information.
If
Perfect.
I wrote another one, I think it will be for men
Okay.
to understand
Yeah.
menopause
Yeah. I find that
in bro terms.
there you go. I know that I had to let down some walls to talk to my husband. Like some
Yes.
I can't exactly tell you what the walls were. I can't put a name to it. Maybe some fear, but just explaining to him like why I'm changing, like what's going on with me, right?
I
And
think that's the key right there. We don't understand what's happening. And are we failing? Are they going to think less of us if we talk about it?
mm-hmm.
And I do have some scripts to help with discussions with your partner as
Oh,
well.
good.
Yeah.
Good. And
Yeah.
just one thing that I remember I was going to say, when I decided to go on HRT, I had this conversation with my doctor and I said, I feel like a failure because I feel like I should be able to do this on my own. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm giving in. I do. I felt because I'm not on medication for anything and I really
Yeah.
had to I spent a long time thinking about whether I was going to do this or not. And I think watching my stepmother was a huge motivator for me because, like I said, I did not have any, like, I didn't have hot flashes and stuff like that, but I
Mhm.
was looking at it from more protective, um, for future. And with
Mhm.
the progesterone, that's where I went to a hormone clinic. She's like, you need to be on progesterone because I was not feeling calm or centered. I was anxious, and so that they have been both very beneficial. But for anybody who may feel like they are feeling like a failure or that they should be able to do this on their own, just know that I went through the exact same thing, and my doctor said that's not uncommon.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
So
again, having the education and everything ahead of time, if we had known ahead of time, we like there could be like feelings of failure, like that we're like, oh, we recognize it. And I liken it to when we were in our PMS stages and we started to recognize, for me, it was like 2 days before my cycle starts, I get a little spicy.
mm,
I get a little angry. And I'm like, when I started figuring out that it was 2 days before my cycle, I would kind of stop myself and I'm like, I'm feeling ragey today. And like what time of the month is this?
yeah,
And then recognizing it and then going, oh, I'm good. I just need to take a beat and then try. But that was helpful, right? So having knowledge ahead of time that these are things that could happen and they happen and you can reflect and go, oh, that's what that is. And then you can take steps. But yeah, we've done it before. We
yeah.
just need to know the information ahead of time so we know what to look for.
Yeah. I remember when my boys were teenagers. So I have two boys. And I said to them once, because boys go through hormonal stuff too, right? But they don't have a period and then they go, oh, that's why I was being a bitch. Right. And I said to my boys, you are having changes in your body, but you don't have a period that goes, oh, so you don't have a lot to anchor it with. And I think that kind of sums up going through perimenopause for me because
Mhm.
unless you really start to notice like, oh, I was 31 days and this month was 27 and then I went to 42 and then I went to 20, right? It's chaotic. It's not grounded
Mhm.
in rhythm, and we were in rhythm for a long time. And well, at least I had a very normal
Yeah.
period. Or to your point, I would be feeling a certain way and be like, oh, I bet you my period's coming, right?
Yeah.
When you go through perimenopause, you're like, oh my God, what's going on? Right?
I'm feeling
So,
ragey. Why is that? Your cycle isn't matching anymore. Well, or you're just having your cycle for a month and it's ragey every day. Or you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it's just
I do.
different.
Yeah.
But
So,
here's the other thing too that I think is such a plus for the generation behind us, that they are more aware of their cycles than we ever were.
oh,
That they're like in the luteal phase, you should do. We didn't even talk about the phases of a period. Like so they're knowing like here's when you should work harder is during this phase of your period. This is when you need to give yourself a lot of grace. So I feel like we are moving in the right direction.
oh yeah.
um, for sure.
Oh yeah. No, I remember in university taking a human sexuality class, and they were, talk, and I couldn't understand, I couldn't connect. They made it too, like you just said, it was too technical. Whereas now they've broken it down to this is my
I'm going to say they
relaxation
didn't
phase.
care. They didn't care about it. None
Yeah.
of us cared about it. What
No.
does it,
What
what
does it
their
mean?
phases of our period? We didn't know. No
Yeah.
one talked about it. We didn't know.
Yeah. No,
So,
exactly. There was no grounded in reality for me in terms of like practical sense. Well, I'm so happy about your book. I'm so happy that you're out speaking. Is there anything else you would like to mention? And then please let everybody know where they can get your books and your apps, and then we'll close it up.
yeah. Well, I would just say that, become educated so that you have power to be then your best advocate, because that's really where the power is. And don't, like, you're listening to us, don't feel that you are a failure. You're not alone. We're all there with you. And both of us would be happy to work with you. And yeah, as far as, we're amybenjaminmoore.com is my website. Amazon, you can find Hot Flashes and Cold Truths and look for the red cover.
Hmm.
um, and yeah, we can put a couple links in the description for the apps if you would like, or we'll work from there. And yeah, I'd be happy to help anyone that or have a discussion. If you need help finding a doctor, at least in the US, I know the Canadian side, you have a physician finder on your side?
I don't know. I'd have to look
Yeah.
that up.
So I know the UK has one, but I have to look up and see if there's one for Canada.
Okay.
Um, but for your US listeners, I can help with that for sure. And
Perfect.
I'll look it up. And if I see a link, I will shoot that towards you.
Okay. Fabulous. Well, thank you for your time today and for educating and empowering us and for reading or for writing a beautiful book from your heart so that, it gets easier for us all. That's very
Yes.
good. Thank you, Amy. And listeners, if this episode resonated with you today and you feel it in your heart, just share it with somebody. I would really appreciate it. And if you could like, subscribe, and even comment about this podcast. It is ground roots, right? It is really sharing. It's all about sharing. Do not feel bad about sharing this information because it really could change the trajectory of a woman's life for the better. And not only her life, but what Amy was saying is that, the life of your children, your grandchildren, like share the information. All right. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.